Good evening, everybody. Happy Sunday pig pile to you. This is your digital mothership, your Sunday night watch party, your Watch DA Live to recap everything around the NFL, the day that was, and I've got some thoughts of the college football playoff as well. Welcome inside. We've got James Palmer who's going to join us. You've watched him for years on NFL Network, NFL Insider, Bleacher Report, etc. He's going to join us live from Mile High later on in the program as the Jaguars get an incredible victory today. I say incredible because I never would have thought they could have done that on the road to the Broncos defense. So we'll get firsthand account from James Palmer, who's going to join us coming up here on Watch DA Live. Our guests all season long have been phenomenal. We have people at stadiums, live on premises, from press boxes and fields. I mean, we got stadiums. We have had it on lock the entire season. And if you are a subscriber to the YouTube channel, appreciate that very much. If not, make sure you are subscribed. If you're watching on Instagram Live, if you're watching on X, get over to YouTube. Just search my same username at Damon Amendolara on all of the platforms. Get to YouTube, hit subscribe. That way you get notified when we go live. We are still tracking Steelers and Lions late in this one, under 2 minutes to play. So I'll let you know when that goes final. And we'll have some takes on this game as well. That's coming up. Plus, I've got to promote tomorrow night a members-only live chat. I'll explain. I'll tell you how you can become a member if you're not and what we have on the horizon. Because if you're an old school DA-lien, if you listen to me from CBS Sports Radio and beyond, then I think you're really going to love tomorrow night's members-only December live chat, where we also are giving away great stuff as members of the Touchdown Club. All of that is coming up this evening on the show. Let's get things cooking with your Furious Five. Okay, let's start with Baker Mayfield of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The magic is officially gone from Baker. That pixie dust that Baker had, pockets full early in the season, gone. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who at times in the first 2 months of the season were being mentioned in Super Bowl conversations, and a quarterback mentioned as a potential MVP, all of it has disappeared. And today, to go to Carolina and lose that football game, to fall to 7-8 on the season, but also to lose that football game as Baker Mayfield throws the game-crushing, soul-crushing interception, is a lot to stomach for the Bucs. You know, Baker Mayfield has made great strides, in my estimation, in being a leader. He's made great strides in becoming a franchise quarterback you can count on. He's taken the attention away from himself and put it on others. I always thought when he did the grabbing of the crotch, the I can't stand Hugh Jackson, the planting of the flag, all that type of stuff, I thought it was a lot about him and his grievances and where he thought he was wronged. And to me, a great quarterback, sure, you want to use motivation. Look, Tom Brady always used being picked 199 for his entire career. But he didn't make it personal about his grievances where he was wronged. Instead, it was always about team and making sure he helped lift other guys up with winning. And I wanted to see more of that from Baker early in his career. Well, he got there. I think he really has gotten there this year. There's been a little bit of here, a little bit there, where you realize the old Baker's still buried in there. But I think for a large part of this season, and really the last couple of years since he's made it to Tampa Bay, it has felt like a new version of Baker. But today, when the season needed saving, when the team needed lifting, when you're on the road fighting for the division, to throw for 145 yards, have a completely middling day. The entire Bucs offense, really couldn't get into the end zone. Baker had a couple of good runs, but I need to see him work the offense through the air. For him to throw that game-crushing interception was really, that's a really disappointing end to a really magical season. Now, I know that they're not eliminated. I know they'll play again. And I know that he's thinking Mike Evans is going to break left. Mike Evans breaks right. It's a scramble drill type thing. But that right there kind of encapsulates how things have gone so wrong so quickly. And the Bucs just don't have it. I know they've been dealing with significant injuries this season, but they've got Mike Evans back. They've got Bucky Irving back. They have other guys back. This was a team that this was the moment to be. The veterans who have been there. This has been the team that's won the division. This has been the barometer in the NFC South. And this was a chance to kind of Heisman the Carolina Panthers, saying not yet, young Bucks. And instead, Carolina gets the win. Carolina gets the pick off of Baker to finish off the game. And Carolina now has a divisional lead with 2 weeks to play, incredibly so. Who would have ever thought before the season the Panthers would be leading this division as we head into Christmas week? Just unbelievable. And Baker and the Bucs magic right now has fizzled. All right, next up in the Furious Five. Okay, so today the Bills win this football game, and the Bills get enough plays late. I did a long breakdown of this game for Bill Matic, my Bills podcast, where we go live after every Bills game. And, I broke it down piece by piece. To me, the big picture here is that Buffalo continually makes its life hard. And today was another example where Shedeur Sanders goes down the field, opening drive. They score the touchdown. So you're already playing catch up. Late in the game, you have a couple of plays, both defense and offense, which opens up the door for the Browns to potentially come back to tie or win the game. Matt Milano has a bad tripping penalty that extends a drive on 3rd down and long. Then you have a drop of the end zone by Dawson Knox, usually shorthanded. You have to catch that touchdown pass to finish off the game. These are plays that have to be made. There's a drop by Brandon Cooks as well, usually a shorthanded wide receiver throughout his career. There's just plays that you got to make. And this team just doesn't make them consistently enough to keep themselves out of harm's way. But a win is a win is a win. They apply the pressure on the Patriots, who will play on Sunday Night Football, and they continue to kind of figure out ways to get it done when they don't play their best football. That's the Bills side. For the Browns side, I have a lot of thoughts on this. First of all, the injury to Quinshon Judkins is a devastating injury. Judkins has been so good and so dynamic and so fun that to see him go down late in a season like that, after the year that he's had for a team that's been going nowhere for a while, was really gut-wrenching. But I have a thought about the bigger picture of the Cleveland Browns. All is not lost in Cleveland. And here's why. I think running Kevin Stefanski out of town is a short-sighted maneuver. I know there's plenty of Browns fans that are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And Stefanski's been at the helm for a couple of really awful seasons. And this year particularly, from a quarterback standpoint, it has been just one big hot mess. But I don't think that Stefanski's issues are not correctable. And I think if you fire Kevin Stefanski, you now are restarting again, trying to build a culture. This is a franchise that is the singularly, most losing franchise in perhaps professional sports, but certainly the NFL. The Jags don't compare. The Jets don't compare. The Cardinals don't compare. The Giants don't compare. The Browns are on their own island in their own category. And this is a man that has won Coach of the Year there twice and taken them to the playoffs twice and won a playoff game. I mean, you might as well mint a statue for the guy. To get rid of him because of this year, I think is short-sighted. Now, do I think that his always playing coy with the media is a good look? I do not. And I wish he could be more transparent. I wish he didn't hold it so close to the vest. I don't know what state secrets he's always holding on to. I understand that frustration. And certainly from a quarterback standpoint, you would like better development from whomever you have under center over the course of this season. But I don't believe Kevin Stefanski was given enough goods to win games. I mean, having Kenny Pickett or having Joe Flacco or having Dillon Gabriel or having, Shedeur Sanders, none of those are great solutions. Flacco was fine in Cincinnati. He had the best wide receiver tandem in all of football that he was throwing to. That's not the case in Cleveland. Secondly, if I can shake a little bit of that stuff out of Stefanski to make himself a little bit warmer, a little bit easier, a little bit less defiant, and maybe a little bit less in his head, taking Shedeur Sanders out on the 2-point conversion a couple of weeks ago, which seemed just stupid. I know there are hard asses that can change. I saw Tom Coughlin do this, where he was as hard and as prickly and as protective as possible, and he finally got a little warmed up, and he turned into a great Hall of Fame head coach, okay, with the New York Giants. I think there is a salvageable guy at head coach. The Shedeur Sanders truthers are a problem. Okay, they're a problem because if you start from that Shedeur has been wronged, you are missing the plot of the 2025 Cleveland Browns. Shedeur deserves his 5-6 starts, the same way Dillon Gabriel deserved 5 or 6 starts. But there is nothing about Shedeur to this point in time through these starts where you go, that's the guy. He's certainly had moments. He's certainly had throws. But for all of the good throws, he's had some really bad throws. And the game against the Bills is a really good example of there's a bucket of bad with Shedeur Sanders' decision-making and Shedeur Sanders' throws. And this is not to say he can't be good. It's just to say the idea that the world is out to get him and not allowing him to be good is a problem that you cannot get past. Okay? It cannot be his job on September 8th or whenever they're going to kick off the season next year. He has to win it in the offseason. And I don't think that means with Deshaun Watson to win it from. And I don't know what you do with Deshaun. That's just its own ball of wax, its own beehive. But I don't think choosing between Shedeur, who is a less than perfect quarterback prospect, and the most damaged volatile goods in the history of North American sports, the choice there, that's not a great choice. There is enough young talent on the Browns. I believe there's enough young talent on the Browns where you can come out of the season and go, you know what? We found a guy here. We found a guy there. We found a guy in defense. And the defense has been tremendous. And you've got Myles Garrett locked up. I just don't think that firing Kevin Stefanski and or assuming that Shedeur has to be the starter next year or has only been done wrong is a productive way to move forward if you are the Cleveland Browns organization. All right, next up in the Furious Five, we are still tracking the end of this Steelers and Lions game as it's gone down to the final seconds of the fourth quarter. The Shuck Truck. Oh, shucks. How about Tyler Shuck? And how about the Saints win over the New York Jets? The Saints don't get a lot of love nationally. Why? Because they stink. And they've stunk for a while now, and they become largely irrelevant post Sean Payton and Drew Brees. And they don't play meaningful games anymore. And they're a smaller market. And they've been searching for an answer at QB and head coach. And here we are. And beating the Jets doesn't get you a trophy. But Tyler Shuck is pretty good. And I'm watching that game, and I'm thinking, that guy throws a pretty ball. That guy has a good arm. That guy's got franchise quarterback size. That guy looks the part. And for a Saints operation that has been a mess from an ownership standpoint, and who's going to take the reins and who's running what, and sibling rivalry and family animosity, that right now might be an organization that hit on both coach and quarterback. I mean, in a draft where everybody's talking about Shedeur Sanders, Tyler Shuck didn't go in the first round. And for one of the last, if not the last coach hired in the cycle, Kellen Moore, the Saints have played pretty hard this year. And the Saints have played a lot of games where they may have lost, but they put a scare into the opposing team. I mean, I was in Buffalo on the day earlier in the season where the Saints would not go away until the third or fourth quarter. And everybody thought that it was going to be an absolute butt kick. And I think the line that day was 17 points or 14 points or something. And, they were in that game until, into the fourth quarter. This is a squad that has beaten the Panthers, who are right now leading the division. They beat the Buccaneers. They then swept the Panthers. And now they've rattled off 3 straight wins by beating the Jets. You know what? There's something to build on here. And the final 2 weeks of the season, don't look out. They should win out. They've got at the Titans, at the Falcons, which if the Saints go 7-10 after beginning the season 1-8, that's pretty damn good. They were 1-8 this season. And right now they got a chance to finish 7-10. I think Shuck looks pretty darn good, and I think Kellen Moore is starting to get his fingerprints onto this franchise, and they're doing some good things, and they did not mess around. I mean, look, they played a nobody at quarterback against the Jets today, but you know what? You got to give them credit because they're getting it done when their season's been over, and they're actually beating the better teams in their division. It has now gone final, it looks like, in Detroit, a frantic finish at Ford Field. And it looks like the Lions have been stopped just short of the goal line. The Steelers hang on for dear life, but do it on the final play of the game. The Steelers win 29-24, pushing them to 9-6, applying pressure tonight on the Baltimore Ravens. And the Lions, oh no, the Lions, they finish it. They right now are 8-7. And will likely miss the playoffs. This is an absolutely devastating loss for the Lions, who are trying to hold on to their playoff lives. The Steelers have to stop a play at the goal line and do it at the 1-foot line, and they actually come away with the victory. And so for the Lions, a franchise that's been in the NFC Championship game and then the 1 seed last year, not only has to watch Ben Johnson go in the division and create the magic of the season in Chicago with the Bears, but here's what the NFC playoff picture looks like. Seahawks at 12-3 are the 1 seed. Bears are 11-4 at the 2 seed. The Eagles are the 3 seed by winning the division at the moment at 10-5. The Panthers right now lead the South. They're the 4 seed. And your wild card teams, Rams, Niners, Packers 9-5-1, Lions 8-7. So that's now a 1.5 game lead for the Packers with 2 games to play, which is just a brutality for the Lions. They desperately needed this game to keep right close to the Packers. And right now, that's really the only team that they can chase down more than likely, the Packers. And a loss today by the Lions is just devastating. Just devastating. All right, moving on in the Furious 5. I got more. I got takes. I never thought I'd see what I saw today from the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. I never thought I would see the Jaguars or anybody put up 34 points at Mile High. This Denver Broncos defense is really damn good. This Denver Broncos defense has shut down and dismantled a lot of really good quarterbacks this season. And this Broncos team has been really good at home in finding ways to get it done. And Trevor Lawrence coming into this season has been a what's wrong with him type quarterback. Why can't he live up to the hype? Why doesn't he look like he did in college? Why isn't he the natural born leader like we saw at Clemson? What has happened? And Liam Cohen walked in there and he somehow completely revamped, rebooted, recalibrated that offense, that organization, and that quarterback. And Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence and those guys today just created a big play after big play after big play. And I just never thought it would happen. They did it through the air. They did it on the ground. And Trevor Lawrence combined for 4 touchdowns. He was coolly efficient. You know, he was sacked 5 times and he didn't lose his composure. He didn't feel rattled. It wasn't like he wasn't going to take more chances. That was a team that really got it done through the air. And to hit Parker Washington in a couple of big plays, he had the 63-yarder. That one kind of broke things open. But they hit chunk plays. Jacoby Myers had a big 25-yarder. Strange hit a 25-yarder. They kept finding space in that secondary, and that's really hard to do within the Broncos defense. I did not think the Jaguars could do that. I didn't. I did not think. I thought the Jaguars were good, not great, and that the Broncos were rounding into form at the perfect moment, and that Jaguars offense is going to run into a brick wall at Mile High, where it's always tough to play. It's been tough to play for generations. I was wrong. And now you have to put the Jaguars squarely in the middle of the Super Bowl conversation of the AFC. You have to. You know, because you look at the Jaguars, and while it's unexpected, look at the playoff teams they've beaten. They went to Denver and won. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Texans early in the season. They had that terrible letdown against the Texans the second time they played. They beat the Niners. They beat the Panthers. Now we got to consider the Panthers a playoff caliber team. They beat the Chiefs. I guess that's not much anymore these days. But it's not like they've only fattened up on bad teams. Now, I don't think they're infallible, you know, but to go on the road, there's not going to be many situations tougher than what they faced today, which is going on the road to play the Broncos defense. They're not going to face much tougher situations in the AFC playoffs. You know, so if they can do that and do it in impressive fashion, and Lawrence looks like that against that defense, maybe they do have enough. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are 11-4, and they might end up at 13-4, and they might end up as a 2 seed. I mean, because they've got Colts and Titans to wrap up the season. And if they do end up winning out, they would be on an 8-game win streak going into the playoffs. I could poo-poo them up until today and say they're good, not great. I can't really make that argument right now if you just went to Denver and put up 34 points on that defense. I can't do it. I got to give the Jaguars their props. They're damn good. And Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence, wow. I was unfamiliar with your game. All right, finally, the Furious Five. I'm just tired of the group of 5 slander. I know we had 2 non-competitive games in the playoff, and the college football playoff was supposedly built for drama, for pitting the best in college football, for making a playoff system exciting and thrilling and the best against the best. And when you have James Madison going out to Autzen and getting absolutely cranked, and you see, you know, Tulane getting destroyed by Ole Miss. You're going, what are we even doing here? I understand. I was bored by those two games as well. I barely watched any of the Ole Miss game. It was out of hand early. I watched until it was 14-0 and said, okay, I'm good. But we don't need to take this year and completely break apart the system and say they don't belong. Because for years, what so many of us bellyached about and what so many people in credible positions in college football media said was that you got to open up a door for everybody. Why are we playing a sport where we kick off the games Labor Day weekend and 70% of the teams competing have absolutely no chance to win a national championship? There isn't even a pathway in. When it was an AP poll vote that decided the championship, there's no way a small school can win that. When there was a BCS and two teams, there's no way a small school is going to get put in by the computers or the voters into a number 2 slot like that. When there's a field of 4, remember it took Cincinnati to move heaven and earth to even get in there. UCF, shut out. Undefeated Tulane, shut out. You could not break into the top 4 as a group of 5 school. It was going to be virtually impossible because you just didn't get enough cracks at it. You did not have a schedule that would allow it to be ranked that high because you played your conference. And then if you did play a bigger school, they were all scared to play you because there was everything to lose for them and nothing to gain. We all said this is unfair, 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 unfair. And then Boise State beat Oklahoma in one of the 5 most memorable college football games of all time. And we said, look at how awesome this is. And everybody always talks about the Fiesta Bowl and how amazing that game was. The Statue of Liberty, the proposal, everything about that. It built that program, and it made us all believe in Cinderella and how beautiful that can be. And suddenly this year, we go, we don't want Cinderella anymore. Sucks. Terrible. Non-competitive. Stupid. This is, again, so short-sighted. This is a blip because the freaking ACC screwed the pooch by having dopey Duke with 5 losses go to the ACC championship game and win the ACC. Okay? This is also a product of consolidation of conferences because if there was a real Pac-12, we could have a Pac-12 champion, and hypothetically, you would have 5 Power 5 conferences, all with power champions in there, and then you'd have one group of 5 champion allowed in. But instead, this year, you have only 4 conference championships from a Power 4. One of those power conferences was a bunch of idiots and allowed Duke into the conference championship game, and everybody else in the conference kind of stunk. And so it opened up the door for these 2 schools in a year where no group of 5 schools were really that great, like Cincinnati, like UCF, like Tulane in the past, etc. It doesn't mean that next year they don't belong in. Does it stink that we had 2 games that were kind of ruined by this? Yes. Yes. Not great. Not great, Bob. But it doesn't mean you set fire to the whole system. If you want to make it so that you have to be ranked in the top 15 as a group of 5 team to get in there, I think that's a fair compromise. I do. I think that's a fair compromise so that we don't have the 23rd ranked school getting into the top 12 just because you got to get somebody in. But I also don't think we need to shut out the little guy and not allow them to have a path. If you want to make them the number 12 seed and you want to reshuffle or stagger or whatnot so that it's not like the 1 seed is automatically going to get the 5 in the second round, and so maybe the 8, 9 or whatever, that's the way that you do this. You restructure so that the number 1 seed is not going to have to play the 5 or whatever. That's fine. You can reseed, you can reshuffle, you can shuffle the deck. In fact, Rick Neuheisel, our guest weekly on my SiriusXM morning show, had a good idea. He said, have a mini group of 5 tournament where there's 8 schools. They play 3 weeks and the winner gets fed in as the champion of the group of 5 into the 12 seed. Okay, that seems fair as well if you want to do it that way. But I just don't think you take this year and you say, screw it. Especially if we're going to go to 16 teams. Especially if we find our way into 16 teams in expansion, you're going to tell me that there's still no space? I don't like blowouts the same way you don't like blowouts of the college football playoff. You want teams to be competitive. But I think that this year, we also were given a bad hand because the ACC stunk really bad, and it shouldn't be 2 of these schools, and one group of 5 schools should usually be better than what Tulane and James Madison were this year. And by the way, I mean, the fact that James Madison's in the playoff probably shouldn't happen at this point in their evolution either. It just happens to be a wonky, silly year, but it doesn't mean that you now don't allow any access for the group of 5 teams. And when I hear decent-minded college football people for years we didn't even have a playoff, and now suddenly we can't even stand if one small team gets into a 12-team playoff. We just get greedier and greedier by the year. And it's like when it was 1 team, we need more. We got 2. When it was 2, we need 4. We got 4. When it was 4, we need 12. Okay, we got 12. When we got 12, we need 16. And now we don't even have any space for the little guy. No little guy. Get the little guy out of here. I'm just not for that. Not for that at all. Keep access to everyone to earn their way in. I don't like shutting the door by the power brokers that say, nope, gatekeeping, everybody else gets out. Because you know what? Then we're a step away from the Big Ten of the SEC spiraling off, spinning off and going, and now nobody else gets into our playoff either. So ACC, you go screw, and Big 12, you go screw, and little guy, you go screw, and we'll just do a Big Ten SEC championship game every year, and we'll collect all the money, and we'll be fat cats. You want that? Because when you start closing the door to access to the other teams, what you do is you crawl closer to that type of model. All right. Now that I got all that off my chest, can I talk about tomorrow night? I want to talk about tomorrow night because what we do here on the show on Sunday nights is free for everybody, all access. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody's invited in. We have a beautiful family here. The DA-liens come from far and wide. And you know how much I love them. You know how much they mean to me. And this is a tremendous place to gather on Sunday nights. Also, though, I wanted something for those who wanted even more exclusive access. And I wanted to do something for those that asked, hey, DA, can we do something even more special? What can we do that's even more special for hardcore DA-liens? And I thought, well, why don't we create some exclusive content? And why don't we have some exclusive experiences? And so once a month, I host a Q&DA where you can ask me anything. It could be professional, it could be sports, it could be personal, it could be anything. And we do it behind a little bit of a gate. I'm talking about gatekeeping now, but to protect me a little bit from, it getting aggregated and put out there and et cetera, gets me in trouble. So we do this so that I know that the members are a close bunch that I can really be very honest and transparent with. But I also wanted to, for the low, low price of $3.99 per month, give you also goodies that I wanted to give from me to you. So last week, I got an eBay find, which was a San Diego Chargers 1980s pennant. Matt Graves ended up winning that. And now tomorrow, I've got this bad boy. And this is such a beauty. This is a signed, autographed Sports Illustrated from 1984 by all-pro wide receiver of the Dolphins, Mark Clayton. And there he is hauling in a pass from Dan Marino. This was the opener in the 84 season. He autographed it and it says 3-time All-Pro. And this was really the breakout game for Dan Marino on his record-setting season in 84, 5,000 yards, 48 touchdown passes. And he just crushed Washington, who was the 2-time NFC champion going into that game. They'd won the Super Bowl in 82. They had gone in 83 and lost the Raiders. This was the opener in 84. And I got to read the article last night, and it's awesome. It's Dr. Z, who's an impeccable football writer. And it's basically Dan Marino, like, how good can this guy be? And so this is the Sports Illustrated that has that article. It also has a really cool one about the Oakland A's pitching rotation that was on the cover in 81. And it says, where are they now in 1984? There is an article on the Florida Gators, Miami Hurricanes rivalry. This is when Jimmy Johnson was the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. So that was really cool. There's a Bill Fralick profile in it. He was like the All-American offensive lineman. They were talking about maybe Heisman votes at Pitt. It's a really cool mid-'80s relic, and I love it, and I'm giving this away tomorrow to a member, okay? So you got to be a member to be available for this. You don't have to be actually live with us tomorrow night when we go live on the monthly chat. We do this every month, but you got to be a member. You got to be a subscribed member to this. Also tomorrow night, this is really cool. I know there's a lot of you that are kind of sad these days, maybe a little wistful, that the Infinity Sports Network or CBS Sports Radio, if you remember it that way, has now kind of pulled the plug. By the end of the year, the month, it's going to be no more. And that was my home for 11 years. My man, Andrew Bogish, and my man, Pete the Body Bellotti, going to join me tomorrow night on the monthly chat. Yep, tomorrow night at 8 p.m., we got Bogues and Bellotti, and we'll do some mothership memories with those two guys. And those two guys, unfortunately, are not going to be working coming up on January 1. Now, I'm sure they're going to land to their feet. I'm sure there's something bright right around the corner. Those two guys are too talented. And we'll talk to Bogues because we might have something up our sleeve with the Bogues over at SiriusXM. I got to see about this. So we'll get some details on that. And I just wanted to talk to those guys and really reflect on the 13-year run of the Infinity Sports Network, which was previously CBS Sports Radio. So if you want to jump into the chat with us and ask those guys anything and hear some of those memories, become a member tomorrow night or tonight for tomorrow night. And you know what? Sign up for 1 month, and that's fine. If you just want to check it out and that's it, you can obviously not renew for January in the new year. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll love it. Maybe you're like, this is the best thing that ever happened to me, DA. Thanks so much for pointing me in that direction. But that's going to be tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And so if you're looking to see how to become a member of this channel for exclusive content like this, go to, if you're not on my YouTube page, go to my YouTube page. You could be watching this on X. You could be watching this on Instagram. The same handle, at Damon Amendo on YouTube. And on the top toolbar, slide it to the right, you'll see members, okay? Click on that, and that just takes you through. It's pretty easy. Bada bing, bada boom. You click on that, $3.99, bada bing, bada boom. You're done, and you're a member, and then you get access to all the exclusive videos. All of the SDA anythings are archived, and you also get a code as well if you want to use it at the Mothership store. We've got the for the holidays. Probably not going to get it in time, but you could also always have a late holiday gift if you want. A little old school or new school DA merch with Rosie the Cat or a little Mothership, etc. There's, of course, the Brady Bunch t-shirt that you guys have seen me wear with everybody's face on it, both the SiriusXM crew and the CBS Sports Radio crew. You get a permanent discount to that if you sign up. You get a permanent discount at the store. So I think it's a pretty good deal. And you also get full access to all of the custom emojis. And if you're checking out this chat on YouTube, all those custom emojis are all from members. So if you want those, which I think it's hard to not want those, I think you know what you got to do. You got to go and you got to get your membership this Christmas, this Hanukkah, this holiday season, right? Okay. And I mean, look at this magazine that somebody's going to win tomorrow night. Oh my God. I mean, I'm going to have a tear in my eye sending this out. But I found it. I found it for you guys. I bought it on eBay. It came to my house. I got to read it, and now I'm gifting it to you. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. All right. We got to bring in Ben Spector, Gadget, our executive producer, Ben Spector. He always joins us to tell us the more you know, what he learned over the course of this evening's show. Ben, great job on the puns. I was
thank you.
A bunch of the puns that you broke in here. Now, let me see. The one that I like the best, I like Shuck Truck. That one I think was my favorite. Shuck Truck, and also Flake and Bake. Baker through the game-ending interception. I like that one very well.
You can tell I was in a bit of a rhyming mood tonight. I was just wanting to rhyme. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, more rhymes, better. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting you talk about the college football conversation. And last year, I felt like the conversation with the 12-team playoff was, well, Ohio State lost to Michigan. They didn't have to play in a conference title game. They had the extra week off. And in a sport that's exhausting on the body, they used that time off to their advantage. They had a great team, granted, and they went on and won a national championship. So the conversation then was, do conference championships matter anymore because of the 12-team playoff? And now the conversation is the group of five. Is that a part of college football that should be excluded from the playoff? I feel like every year with the 12-team playoff, you're going to have something new. And we don't really talk about the Ohio State thing anymore. I feel like that conversation didn't come up at all this year. But now it's the group of five conversation because we saw Tulane and James Madison get completely blown out. So I took away that there's just going to be a different angle with a 12-team playoff, and imagine a 16-team playoff, then there's a totally different conversation, and it's just going to continue to add on to each other. It's sports. Nobody wins, but at the same time, somebody has to win.
Yeah, and I know that part of the fun of college football is arguing over it because there is no centralized body. There are all these different conferences. They all have different rules. They're run by different commissioners. And so I don't think it's smart to always keep ripping up what you do every year because people are angry about it. I mean, look, the seeding last year was stupid. They fixed that. But I do think that if you suddenly assume that every year you're going to have two group of five teams and both are going to get trucked by 4 touchdowns, I just don't think that's true. I think this might be the only time in our lifetime that we're going to see 2 group of 5 teams get in because one of the Power 5, conferences had a 5-loss champion. What are the odds we're ever going to see that again?
And Duke loved it. Good for Duke.
We'll probably never see that because no conference would allow a 5-loss champion to go play for the conference championship ever again.
Exactly. It's very interesting. All right. I want to go through some comments here, if that's okay. Yeah. This first one, I have a lot to say about. I'm a Giants fan. Okay. You were talking about the Browns. When the Giants fired Daboll, a big name in the conversation immediately was Kevin Stefanski. I don't think Stefanski's going to get fired. El Capo says Stefanski to the Giants. I would love that, but I wanted to give you this number here, this stat that I found yesterday, and I was really excited to tell you about this. So Eagles won the division for last night. Yep. I don't know what day it is anymore. Back-to-back years for the first time in 21 years. Okay. So the first time in 21 years that a back-to-back champion in the NFC East.
Right.
The last time the Giants won a divisional title was in 2011. So since 2011, the Commanders have won it 3 times, the Cowboys 5, and the Eagles 6. And the Giants, meanwhile, have had 6 coaching changes, including interim head coaches in that time.
Oh my God.
Isn't it something?
It's also amazing that the Giants are tied for the most Super Bowl championships in this century in the division with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
Despite no division title since 2011, they have 2 Super Bowl titles in this century, which is 2 more than the Cowboys and 2 more than the Commanders, and tied for the Philadelphia Eagles.
And 10 seasons of double-digit losses since 2011. Isn't that something? But yeah, Stefanski would be great. I would love that. That'd be awesome.
Totally. just very good coach. Yep.
Just a
very
thought.
Good coach.
Let's go to Jacksonville here. Nick says Cohen has redeemed himself from that intro. He's awesome and has the team behind him. I think that coaches are one of those things where the reaction to a hiring of a coach, you truly just never know. They could have any type of press conference and you never know until their first season. And I'm curious to think whether or not you think that the reaction to head coach hirings are overblown when they first initially occur, and that with head coach hirings, there needs to be more patience from fan bases and from, just the football community.
Well, my take has always been yes, patience, except Liam Cohen is the argument against patience because he figured it out in year number one. Ben Johnson figured it out in year number one. These guys are only going to turn up the heat on coaches that aren't getting it done immediately because they're proof that you can get it done immediately. I do think that winning press conferences is overrated. Liam Cohen came off as really awkward. He's kind of an awkward guy at the podium, but clearly he's a very smart football man. I'm not a huge Sean McVay fan, but I think it's probably because I find him annoying at a press conference. But as a football coach, he's really, really good. I think guys that are slick at press conferences aren't always very good coaches. I think there's probably some asocial behavior with really bright football minds and maybe just really bright minds in general. I think guys that are too cool, like a Cliff Kingsbury, are probably not cut out to be a good head coach. So that's why when Mike McDaniel sounds like a doofus at press conferences, I'm like, I'm not convinced that means you're a terrible coach. Now, he might be a terrible coach, but I do think that, yes, press conference stuff gets overblown in terms of how somebody's supposed to be liked and what you're supposed to say. Guys can just say what you're supposed to say. It doesn't actually mean that they believe it or that they're going to carry it out.
All football coaches are nerds to some extent. There's this
Consumed
clip
by football.
Yeah, exactly. There's this clip going around that Kirk Cousins broke down an offense earlier this week, or broke down how to read a defense. Yep. And then it turned into a question that was asked to every coach. And Mike Kafka had a long thing to say about it. And as he was leaving the podium, he asked, can all press conferences be like this, where you asked me how to break down a defense? Because they just seem to love that.
If you get them, that's their territory. They want to do X's and O's, but they're always so afraid to do too much because it might give the opponent something, or it might allow somebody to kind of see what they're doing from the outside looking in. But instead they're kind of constantly bombarded by, well, who's going to play? Who's going to start? What's wrong with chemistry? Why didn't you get this done? Why didn't you get that done? And they all get really defensive and they get protective and secretive, and they hate it. That's when they squirm up there and it becomes really uncomfortable.
And there's more to the job than just X's and O's as a head coach. That
absolutely
they
right.
Answer for.
Yep.
One more from me for you that I found interesting. We were talking about the Saints, Tyler Shuck. Is Shuck good enough for them to not think about drafting a quarterback or improving the quarterback position this offseason?
Absolutely. I think you can go into next year with Shuck as your guy and let him play it out. I mean, there's no pressure right now on the Saints to have to win. Kellen Moore going into year number 2. You give Shuck a full season next year, 16, 17 games under center. You see what happens. And if it doesn't work next year and Shuck kind of shows that he was a flash in the pan, then you can draft a quarterback the following year. But I mean, at this point in time, you're already at 5 wins. You should get 6 or 7 wins probably. You're not going to be drafting in the top 3 anyway. And this is a bad quarterback draft. So I do not think they got to reach for a quarterback or force a quarterback. Let Shuck take the reins the entire year next year, and let's see what you got, because you're kind of in a very beneficial spot. Nobody's under pressure to win next season, and you have a developmental quarterback that is showing some signs of real growth and of being a really good QB potentially. On that point, I wanted to bring up a couple of the Exhale cocktails from some of our listeners as well, some of our audience, because I got some good visuals here from the crew. Now, as you guys know, if you're listening to the SiriusXM show on Monday mornings through Friday mornings, SiriusXM channel 82, we had our doggy dinner over on Thursday, and that's Babs, my colleague in the morning. There's Britt on the wheels of steel in the middle, and Babs with such a bad move. He was sitting next to us at our table. This is the Mad Dog sponsored party. Dog pays for this beautiful dinner at a Italian restaurant in Connecticut for us the entire channel, every year. And Babs bolted to go sit at the boss table. So here is me and Britt, and I've got my hand around air because that's where Babs should be sitting, as we called him out for on Friday's show. Just a careerist, just a career opportunist. Just a real social fungus there. What a bad look and a bad move by Babs to bail on us to go sit with the bosses. You just, you hate to see it. You really hate to see it. And also, how about these two guys? How about members here of the channel? You got Randy in Ashtabula, Ohio, and Gordon in Vancouver. Gordon and his wife flew out to the office party. This was 2 weekends ago. And how about that? We got this great photo of Randy and Gordon. And Gordon, let me tell you, he might be an older guy. That guy can throw him back. Every event he's ever been at, he gets drunk at. And so I just want to say big ups to Gordon. I know he watches all the time. He's one of the interior members of the DA-lien club. You got to love this guy. He's kind of like our president, elder statesman, if you will. I wouldn't let him run anything, but, you got to look to him for wisdom. So amazingly, he comes out all the way from Vancouver with his wife and gets after it in New York City. And there's Randy dressed as Will Ferrell and Elf. So you don't get much better than that. All right. It is my great pleasure as we talk about an amazing performance by the Jacksonville Jaguars in Denver today, knocking off the Broncos and putting their stamp in the AFC playoff picture. My great pleasure to welcome on my friend, James Palmer. Let's hear it for him, everybody. James Palmer, NFL Insider, Bleacher Report, and The Athletic, and so many tremendous platforms that you are on. How you doing, man?
I'm good. This was a great one. This was a great one. I'm outstanding. I feel like I've been giving the Jags some love. They feel like nobody has. But I think I was maybe in the early portion of this. Maybe I'll get some credit. They don't want any credit still. But there was a lot watching them come off the field, standing in that tunnel from that group going, we know that we don't get any respect. We don't want your respect. We were a small market team. That was said quite a bit coming off the field. But that was a jacked group. I think they had this one circled, even though they won't even tell it to you.
James is in Denver in the press box after the game doing this hit. So that's amazing that we have him having covered the game. I'll admit, I was one of those guys today on NFL radio. I said, I still don't consider the Jaguars a true Super Bowl contender, but if they go to Denver and beat the Broncos, I got to put them in there. Not only did they do that, they did it with a rubber stamp. I did not expect them to put up 34 points and Trevor Lawrence account for 4 touchdowns against that defense. What did the Jaguars do today offensively that other teams just have been unable to do?
Yeah, when you look at this team, like Denver is the number one, red zone defense in football, number one third down defense in football. You look at both of those stats. I was talking to ETN after the game going like, those stand out to me. You were very good in both of those, obviously, and teams haven't been very good against this defense. I think the game plan up front, from my understanding that I was told, was to make sure that this rush that gets home very, very quickly. We know the get off that Nick Bonito has and that Jonathan Cooper have on the edges and what Zach Allen can do in the middle. And they wanted to get rid of the football quickly. They knew if there was a free rusher, Trevor was going to be on the move. And I think he's used his athletic ability that we all knew was there. But like the last several weeks, using his legs, using that mobility, they were going to use that to their advantage. And then they know the attention that Jacoby Myers has been drawing from teams over the last couple of weeks, and they knew they could take advantage of matchups with like Parker Washington, right? He's going to be in one-on-one type of setups, and he's going to be able to take advantage. And the guys in that locker room I talked to, those are the two plays that turned the course of the game, right? He misses a tackle, takes a 5-yard screen, and ends up taking it 50 yards. They were able to take advantage of a couple of different things offensively, and I also think Denver was getting home with rushing 4. And then when they started doing things, with some of these blitzes and stuff, they just didn't execute them very well. And then they hurt themselves on the outside. So I think Jacksonville, if you go and talk to people in that building, they'll tell you this is a team that's put together really, really well. It's a lot of really good players. They may not be household names, I guess, in a lot of places across the country, but they feel like they've built a really, really good team. And I think this was a perfect example of how they play football. And you look, it was 8 straight of 25 or more. It's a franchise record. It's the longest streak in the NFL. They're showing everybody that they are a team in the AFC that we should be paying attention to. Whether we do it or not, we'll find out.
Okay, so take me inside that locker room then, because you're saying that they say nobody believes in us, nobody's talking about us, but we don't care. We don't want you to talk about us. I want you to take us inside that locker room with that attitude from them.
Yeah, certainly. That stems 100%, Damon, from the head coach. That is what I've been told that Liam Cohen has been preaching. He's embracing this. Oftentimes you don't get an opportunity with your team to have something that's just there for you to grab onto as a head coach and use it throughout the course of the season. And I think Liam has seen it and he's embraced it, and he's embraced it there in Jacksonville, that nobody pays attention to this team, and he's using that to his advantage. I asked, what was the post-game speech to two different players? And they were like, yeah, I can't tell you that. I was like, oh, okay. Like, all right. I can't tell you that on the record. I was like, oh, all right. So like, I asked Tim Patrick, who was here in Denver. He was in Detroit last year. He asked to be traded to Jacksonville. He told me, I wanted to be a part of this group. I see what they were building. I thought in my mind that this is what it would become. And I said, why'd you want to be here? He's like, because if you're not loving football, and Tony Baselli told me this before the game, if you don't absolutely love football, you will not be a part of our organization. And that's what him and Liam Cohen and James Gladstone are building. And so they're embracing that aspect of it, that nobody cares about us. And they're using it, I think, to their advantage. Because I asked guys like, all right, after this win, people are eventually going to pay attention to you. And they're like, we don't want them to, because we're not paying attention to them. Okay.
Interesting. Now, it's interesting that Trevor Lawrence had this knock that he didn't love football the way you have to love football. So do we think that Liam Cohen and Tony Baselli got him to love football? Do we think there was always a broken narrative? What's going on there?
Yeah, I think you could look at his history in Jacksonville, and if you put anybody else in that position, Damon, I think you go, man, it'd be tough to go through this stretch, with what he had with Urban Meyer. And then it worked with Doug Peterson for a minute, and then it wasn't working. And, you know what I mean? So, like, all of these things that he's been through in Jacksonville, I think some people were wondering, yeah, like this was a prospect, if we remember, that was one of the best prospects we've seen in coming out in the draft. Maybe the best one we saw since Luck, maybe, in terms of what people thought he would become. I would say this: what they've unlocked with Trevor, to my understanding, is there's a match between him and Liam Cohen about how he's getting Trevor to see the game. Trevor's as confident as he's ever been, from my talking to people in that building. He's as comfortable as he's ever been. And when you add a player like Jacoby Myers, and I would even throw Tim Patrick in this because the other receivers are pretty young, like, now that he has guys where they're going to be exactly where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, he's playing with an added comfort level. And this was a slow build. There was a lot that he needed to learn, I was told, of all the motions that Liam runs and all the different formations and every different thing that he wanted Trevor to kind of pick up. It's been a really, really good relationship. And he's brought out a lot of confidence in Trevor. And when you hear Liam say, like, I think I've brought some stuff out of him in terms of competitiveness and energy and juice that maybe he didn't even know was there, I think you're right. I think it's kind of sometimes the match that is put together that draws out the best in a player. And that's what we're seeing in Trevor Lawrence right now. He's playing outstanding football.
Were the Broncos stunned? That defense has a lot of pride. That defense is tenacious. To have 34 hung on them and 4 touchdowns from the quarterback could not have been good for their psyche.
Yeah, I think there's two things going on in that Denver locker room, talking to a couple of guys that I know very well. And it's this: we're really happy we're playing on Thursday. Like, they want to play immediately. That's the way they feel. And I think Sean's kind of preached that to the group. We're going to turn this thing around very quickly. We're happy we're playing Thursday, because obviously they weren't happy with the way they executed. They did not tackle well at all. Talking to guys on the defensive side of the ball, if you don't tackle well and you don't execute some of the blitz stuff up front that they wanted to do, he's like, it's not a good recipe against a team that's pretty good. That's a team that has a lot of different weapons and has put up a lot of points lately. I think that defense is a little upset with themselves with the way they played, and they're excited to play on Thursday. Now they know, like, the other message I was told, Damon, honestly, was, we're going to see this team again. Like, Sean preached that to the entire group. Like, we're going to see this Jacksonville team again. We're probably going to see them in the postseason. So win your final 2 and see what we can do. And if we can get the 1 seed, that'd be great. And everything has to come through Denver would be great. But this was, I don't want to say, like, I was expecting it a little bit, but I was here for the game last week too. And that was a playoff atmosphere against Green Bay. And I was curious what the week after with this young team was going to be like after that emotional win where Bo played probably the best game of his career and you beat Green Bay. And I'm watching a fight pregame. And so, like, I was curious the way this one would go down. And I think it woke them up a little bit about where they're at, whether they'll admit it or not.
I'm going to do a few quick hitters so you can get out of there and get home to your folks, or to your family rather. Quick hitter. You no longer live with your parents, so you don't have to get home to your folks.
You don't know that, but I do. Yeah, they're coming this week, though. I'm excited.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Very good. What happens with Tua?
I think it's over. I do. I just think trading him though is harder financially in the situation than it is to end up in releasing him. I think you don't make this move without some sort of thought of what the future is. I think that when I talk to people around the league, things have changed defensively and the way defenses are playing. And he plays kind of one way. Whether that can be successful moving forward or not, I think is the question.
What happened to the Lions?
I don't know. I was in the all of a sudden I just hear people in the locker room talking about what happened today.
Well, not even this game, but yeah, I mean, they came up short again. They had a play at the goal line and the Steelers stopped it at the goal line, so they lose to the Steelers. Now, they're probably going to miss the postseason. This is a team that was so good for the last 2 years. Is it just the assistant coaches left, the coordinators left, and suddenly it all kind of unravels?
I said this before the start of the season, and I still stand by it. I think losing Frank Ragnow was the biggest loss that they had this offseason, above both coordinators. I look at what they're putting up in terms of points. I mean, they're still like one of the best offenses in football, even though they changed play callers and Dan kind of unlocked Jameson Williams in an aspect. We were kind of curious why David Montgomery's not getting the football as much, but still Jared Goff's playing well. I just think the interior of the offensive line, when you have a quarterback that is just not very mobile. Jared's still a very, very good quarterback and plays brilliantly from the pocket, and he sees everything. He sees it all. But I think losing some of what Frank called up front, some of the way they played with some experience in the middle of the interior that they've lost, I thought that was a huge issue. But they're so banged up in the secondary that just competing in that aspect of it was really tough. And there's no running mate to Aiden Hutchinson up front. Like, they get pressure, but it takes an eternity for them to get pressure. And so I think all of those things, especially when you look in the back end, like Branch is such a great player and their injuries at corner. And so I think that part of it was really, really tough to continue. I know new coordinators plays a part, but I thought Frank Ragnow was a huge part. And you saw when they tried to bring him back, the writing's on the wall about the importance of what they thought he was to this offense.
Excellent point. For those that have been on my YouTube channel for a while, they have seen the video from last February at the Flavortown tailgate in New Orleans, which was hosted by Guy Fieri. Yeah. And who was on the red carpet? But my man, James Palmer. And so he appears in that video with me. Mm-hmm. And so it was great to see you there. That was a hell of a party. I mean, geez, that was awesome.
It was unbelievable. It was outsane. I didn't know I'd be on a red carpet. I didn't know I was going to be like me, my wife, and Tom Pelissero's wife, and the three of us are walking the red carpet together. But yeah, Tommy P was not there, but I took it. Sarah and I were having a good time with Meg. We're all good. It was man. I walk into that place and I'm like, how many people are here? Like, this is unbelievable.
It was like its own parade. It was wild. It was like its own Mardi Gras parade. Guy Fieri knows how to throw a good party, and he knows how to make a good cocktail. Santo Tequila is Guy Fieri's signature tequila, also a collaboration with Sammy Hagar. And for appearing on Watch DA Live tonight, James Palmer will be receiving his very own bottle of Santo Tequila for 2026. This is coming to your house, my friend.
Tequila's my thing. That's perfect. You knew me too well.
I don't know if you've had Santo. It is absolutely phenomenal. It's the best tequila you're going to have. I don't say that lightly.
How do you
I just have it. I just have it on the rocks. Just on the rocks. Okay. Yeah, a little ice. It's fine. Okay. But you can mix it with a little anything. Little seltzer is fine. Little wedge of lime is fine. You put it in a margarita if you do it at home. Anything you make, it's so clean. It's so nice. You're going to love it.
Let's go. I'm stoked.
Good, man.
I appreciate you me through here. I wish that could happen. It could be done through the screen. Eventually we'll get there.
We'll get there. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us from Mile High. This is so cool, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Anytime, buddy. Good seeing you.
All right, dude. You too. James Palmer joining us, longtime NFL insider, dropping on by here. And it's really good to have him on the program, and known him for a long time. NFL Network, NFL Media, Bleacher Report, and The Athletic. Really awesome stuff. So, look, this is the most all-encompassing YouTube show you're going to find. We run this like it's a legit network radio show. We run this like it's a legit network television show. This is one of the most all-encompassing, robust shows on YouTube, and you got to love it. And I appreciate you guys all being here. The comment section's blowing up. I wanted to have one more graphic here to show you guys because, one of the DA-lien Hall of Famers is, of course, Chris in Buffalo. And I was mentioning how This is going to be the last week and a half of 2 weeks of Infinity Sports Radio and my old home, CBS Sports Radio. I put out a video about my thoughts on the closing of the network this week. It was picked up in the trade, so you might have seen the link floating around on Twitter of that story. But I wanted to read this from Kristen. Kristen is a DA-lien Hall of Famer with a gold jacket. And there's the picture of me and the other DA-lien Hall of Famers, Randy and Moist Pork and Kristen, because she's got a heart of gold and she's my captain of the team. And she says, thinking of everyone at ISN today, Infinity Sports Network, it's been an emotional time learning that something that's been so ingrained in my daily life for the last 5 or so years is coming to an end. There's so many people, whether on X, YouTube, or in person, I've met because of the network that have become real friends, and I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had to participate in the magic in my own small way. That's what you made for us listeners, magic. The magic of a community bonded through sports takes, oddball antics, laughs, and love. There would be no Chris in Buffalo without you all, but especially the DA-liens. I hope you all find magic in your next roles, and I'm lucky enough to witness it again in whatever form that may be. All the best. And that just says so much about Kristen. She is, again, heart of gold, one of the finest people I've ever met. And I love her dearly. And that just says it all. And it's really hard for a lot of people to deal with this. And I understand it. I spent so much of my career at CBS Sports Radio. And it was very hard for me to leave because of the people there. I had this incredible opportunity at SiriusXM. And it was really hard. It was really hard. And I had to kind of bury it because I knew it was coming, but I couldn't say anything. And at first, I couldn't say anything to the guys around me that I worked with. Then they knew, but I couldn't say anything to the listeners. And I felt a real guilt. I felt a real serious guilt about leaving. I was there when the network launched in 2013. It was my first chance to go national. It was a culmination of dreams. I wouldn't say one dream. It was dreams that I was able to achieve. And it came into focus, when I was on this path of, my God, I get to go to national. I get to be syndicated. I get to be on multiple affiliates and have the entire country hear me. And that was a real pinch me moment. And it will always be a pinch me moment. And we did 11 years of what I consider outstanding radio. And I'm not ashamed, or I'm not embarrassed to say I would put those years, I'm not really a braggadocious kind of guy, but I would put, those years up against any national sports talk that's ever been done and say it matches it, if not exceeds it. And that's because of the talent of the people around me. I just was constantly surrounded by people that were not only really good at their job, but had a little motivation because it wasn't ESPN radio, because it wasn't Fox Sports Radio, because it wasn't SiriusXM. It was the upstart. It was the newbie, and so there was a prove it from everybody. We'll prove it. And it was an incredible 11 years of my life. And I have great gratitude for those years. I also have, a real sadness that so many talented people are going to be without a job. They are extraordinarily talented people, extraordinarily. And a lot of radio organizations or media platforms would be super lucky to have all of them. And there has already been, and I'll tell you a true story. If you listen to Bill Ryder's show, his producer Tom, we call him D-Cell, Tom DiCelestino, was a longtime producer. He did everything over there. He ran the board. He was a producer. He did a million different things, cut tape, worked his way up, became a friend of mine. And he filled in on the show, producing a number of times. He produced Sunday Morning Football with me. And about 7 or 8 months ago, sometime early summer, he got a chance to come to SiriusXM, and he made the move over to SiriusXM and has been working on weekends and evenings since then. And I saw him at the doggy dinner, and we got to reconnect, and I hadn't seen him in person. We've texted, but I haven't seen him in person because we just worked different hours in the building. And I was like, man, I can't believe what's going on over at CBS. He goes, I know. And his boss, who runs the evenings and, weekend programming, came to me, he goes, hey, thanks for Tom. Thanks for Tom. And, I said, hey, that's all Tom. But I said, we got good people over at CBS Sports Radio. There's good people over there. And he's like, this guy's the man. This guy, like, he makes everything go. And he is one piece of all the things that made that network go. And they're just so many talented people. So I stump for him all the time over at Sirius. I stump for him all the time. Hey, you got to get this guy. Got to get this guy. Got to get this guy. Bring this guy in. Bring this guy on. Bring this gal in. Part-time work. Just, get him over here. Get him over. Because they're just so many talented, hardworking people. So they'll all do fine, but it's a tough industry these days. It's a ruthless, bloodthirsty industry where revenue has shrunk because of new media. It is a platform that a lot of young people no longer use. And so a lot of the advertising that used to be in radio and ratings that used to be in radio have gone to podcasts, have gone to YouTube. Why do you think I'm here? Have gone to social media, have gone to streaming services. That's whittled down revenue, that has whittled down budgets, that has whittled down employees, that has whittled down a lot of things in the industry. There's still super talented people doing super talented things. I mean, I think Mad Dog Sports Radio, top to bottom, I think it's the best sports radio channel there is. On a national level, I think it's the best sports radio channel there is. I just don't think there's a close second. We have, me and Babs in the morning, into Shine, into Katie Nolan, into Stephen A, into Mad Dog, or Stephen A into Katie Nolan, into Mad Dog. Like, you're just not going to get a better lineup than that. So there's good radio out there, and I encourage you to sign up for SiriusXM if you are a longtime listener of Infinity, if you're a longtime listener of CBS Sports Radio, and you feel like you're without a home January 1, get one of these 3-month trials. It's dirt cheap at SiriusXM. I mean, I think I've seen 3 months free. It was 3 months for like $5 a month. Just get it for the sports channel. There's a basic tier that you just get Mad Dog Sports Radio and some of the other basic channels it's like channels 1 through 99 or something like that or whatever. Pick that up. See if you like it. I think you will. I think it blows away the competition of other national network sports radio channels. And no offense to the others, but I just think it dominates top to bottom from 6A to 6P. I just don't think there's a close second. I don't. So if you feel a little lost, I encourage you. There's a cheap way to sign up. And then, you can always make a decision after that trial ends and you don't have to keep going with it. But I encourage you to try it because you're just not going to get a better 12 hours on national sports talk radio. Also, I'm here. And no matter what happens in the radio industry, I'm right here. I was born to talk to somebody, maybe myself, but I was born to talk. And I understood years ago the rules of engagement, and that is nothing is given. Nothing is given in this industry. We all chose this because it's a dream, because it's a passion, because it's a love. And when you do things for that, you cannot expect it to love you the same way back. You have to do it for your own reasons. And the clock might be ticking on me as well, because you just never know about this industry. You never know. But I will always be here. This is a permanent place for me. And I am lucky that over the last 2 years, we've built out a pretty damn good YouTube channel right here. It's pretty damn good, if I don't say so myself. It has multiple recurring series. It has long-form interviews. It has serious takes and insight. It has fun. It has me on location. It has me going to meet people out in the sports wilderness. It has live. It has taped. It has short. It has long. It has vertical. It is horizontal. It's pretty damn good. So I encourage you to stay here. Tell other people to come here. And I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. I put 2 years into this and will put in 20 more because I believe in this platform and I believe in what this represents. And I believe that as something shrinks, other things grow. It's just the way it goes. And the media business is always evolving. And I knew that coming in. So I had to be ready to figure out what it looks like and what I can do. And I'm supremely fortunate to be on SiriusXM, on Mad Dog Sports Radio and NFL Radio, and will be there as long as they will have me. I love it. I absolutely love it. But I'm also here. So find me here every single week, Sunday nights. I'm there after every single Bills game. And we do live chats every month. And I'm putting out videos. There's new videos every single day. We have a staff that we've got multiple hands. You've met executive producer Ben Spector of Watch DA Live. I've got the elves working on other things. It's a pretty thriving place around here. And I'm very excited about what it represents. And the fact that tomorrow night, I get to, chop it up with Bogues and chop it up with Pete the Body right here on YouTube makes me excited. And we've had Pat Boyle join me. We've had Caserta join me. We've had Mraz join me. We have Katie Linendahl join me. We've had Danny Wexelman join me. All my friends, they're always here. And you guys are my friends as well. So keep coming here. This is going to be, if you're not a member and I don't see you tomorrow night for the exclusive monthly chat, this will be my last chance to talk to you guys on this platform live before Christmas. For those that celebrate Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah. For those that celebrate Kwanzaa, happy Kwanzaa. For those that celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. And Christmas is a tremendous holiday, because, of course, you get to see children get excited. That's like the coolest thing ever. And that comes through toys. And so we buy things for them and we try to create magical moments for them. We try to create the wow for them. And that's what we all kind of get a charge out of. And then we try to wow our partners or wow our family members with our presence or whatnot. But what you are really supposed to realize, I think, about Christmas, at least in my heart, is that it's about warmth. It's about people thinking of one another. It's about people thinking about what they can do or what they can get, or just thinking of what other people are doing or what they like or what they want or who they are. And so I say that because I'm thinking about everybody at CBS Sports Radio, Infinity, and I know you guys are as well. I'm thinking about you as my community here on this show, and I'm thinking about Bob's Bar, which was just freaking epic in June, wasn't it? I'm thinking about the office party that we just had, and I'm thinking about the Bab Bash that we had earlier in the summer as well, and I'm thinking about seeing you guys in this comment section every single Sunday night. I'm thinking about the members that have joined for the Touchdown Club, and I'm thinking about seeing you guys at tailgates up in Buffalo and other places, and going down to Baltimore for the Little Mo events and the Ed Block Courage Awards. And I just think that you should know that I think about you guys a lot. I think about you guys. I think about the audience a lot. I think about the audience a lot. And it's why I love doing this. And I say this a lot, but I am constantly impressed by the quality of person that follows this stuff that I do, that listens to the show in the morning, that comes here Sunday evenings, that I meet at tailgates, that are in my Twitter mentions, that come to Bob's Bar. I'm constantly impressed by the caliber of person. So carry that out this holiday season. Do well to other people. Keep shining the light. Be warm. Be bright. Be thoughtful. Be happy. Be grateful. And we'll all have a Merry Christmas for it and a happy holiday. And today and every day, this is a home for all of you guys to keep coming to and congregate together. Because I see it in the comments, I see it on social media, and I love seeing it. And we get to do it in physical person a couple times a year, but here every week we get to do it as well. And who knows? Now that Bogues and Bellotti are, got some free time, maybe we'll do it more than once a week. Who knows? We'll keep all options open. Anyway, happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow night for the members only. If you want to become a member, even for just the month, $3.99, pretty easy. Join me, Bogues, and Bellotti tomorrow evening. Go up top right here to memberships. Just slide over to the right. You'll see memberships. Click on that if you're on the YouTube channel. If you're on X or Instagram Live, you got to go to YouTube to sign up for it. But it's very easy. They make it super easy for you. So there you go. Very, very easy. Also, just a reminder, you got to be subscribed to the YouTube channel for this Santo giveaway. At the end of the football season, we're giving away this more than $500 value of Santo, a couple of chairs, and a fire pit. This is from Santo Tequila. They are amazing. They love this show. They love you guys. They think the DA-liens are the coolest thing ever. And so they wanted to give you guys this. So you got to be a subscriber. You don't have to be a member, just a subscriber, which means for free. Just click on subscribe. That way you are part of the more than 10,000 subscribers to this YouTube channel, which we just hit this week, 10,000 subs, which is freaking awesome. We are rolling right now. So make sure you are subscribed to get this giveaway. You are then eligible for the Santo giveaway at the end of the football season. All right. So I went on and on and on. Why? Because I like talking to myself. And so I'm sorry I didn't get to more comments, but I'm reading them all right here, and I'll read through even more of them after the show is over. But I've kept you too long. We've got Sunday Night Football to get to, Patriots and Ravens. Appreciate you. Thanks to executive producer Ben Spector. Thanks to James Palmer, NFL Insider, for joining us from Denver. Got to love that. I mean, we got people on site on this show breaking things down from a football Sunday. You got to love it. I will see you tomorrow morning on SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio Channel 82, bright and early at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. And tomorrow night right here for Ask DA Anything. The Touchdown Club congregates, joins for December tomorrow night. All right? Be good. Be good to one another. Love you all. I'm DA. The mothership disconnects. Play us out, Ben.